What you see is what you get right now.
Hello, beautiful.
Hello. Trying to plug in my light and this is not working. There we go. Hello, everybody. Oh gosh.
Hello, 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 hello.
Oh me, oh my. All right. It is 8 o'clock on the dot.
It's 8 o'clock on the dot.
I'm in my drop top cruising.
We're all silly today. We're hyped for SFR.
So
Who
excited.
is hyped? I'm so
Rebecca's
ready.
on the Rebecca's on the way there right now.
I'm shit. Get it, Aiden. Hop on the call. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. I'm
Yes.
coming in early Monday morning.
Yeah, we're taking the kids to Disney this weekend first.
Katie said training and entertainment. Look, so a fun fact about myself, I can literally come up with a song as soon as somebody says something. And it's actually, my husband hates it. He hates it. If anybody says anything, it's like a lyric just pops into my head.
My husband does the same thing.
He's like, do you have to do that? As a matter of fact, I do. As a matter of fact, I do.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get going because y'all know the situation with the free
The
Zoom.
time.
So
The time.
I'm gonna let Miss Lassiter go ahead.
So
Take
this
it
week
away.
is week 5. It's crazy. This is flown by. Next week we won't have a call because of SFR, but our last call will be the week after. This week is all things leadership, and this is probably one of my most passionate subjects because so many people overcomplicate what leadership is, and they think they have to do all these immaculate things, and they have to do a million things to be a good leader, and that's anything but the truth. So this is what I want to start with. The day that you sponsor is the day that you become a leader, not the day you promote to lead. The day you sponsor, the day somebody goes to your website and they join underneath you, whether you are ready to be a leader or not, you become a leader that day. So fun fact, when I started this, I was a nurse manager. The only reason I was a nurse manager is because my title outranked everybody in that facility. Everybody in that facility had been there way longer than I had. So I'm talking about 10, 20, 30 plus years. They've all were there longer, but my title outranked them. So I automatically became a manager. I'm not a leader type. I am not a leader type. I am a follower. Give me instructions. I am a good follower. I'm not a leader type. I didn't like to speak. In fact, when we had team meetings or nurse meetings, I would write my notes and read them just like this so they couldn't see my face. Because often I had to give them like bad news. So I'd read it just like this so they couldn't see my face. Very awkward. So fast forward to sensing when I started, number one, I never expected to even have a successful business, nevertheless sponsor anybody. So the first person that tried to join my team, I actually talked her into going to somebody else. I was like, nah. She's like, I want to start it. I'm like, yeah, go to this girl because she's been doing it for a while. Don't come to me. The second girl that joined underneath me, she didn't even tell me she was going to join. Didn't even tell me. So now I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Because I barely know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't want to, I'm not a teacher. Amber is a teacher. She's a great teacher. I ain't teaching nothing because I lose patience. Hence, we struggle with homework over here. I don't want to teach nothing. I don't want to teach. But I learned early on when I sponsored, I watched closely what other leaders did in this company. My sponsor deuced out shortly after I joined. She was never the leader type, but I was added to her star director's team page. And I watched what this superstar director did and these leaders did, and I mimicked it early on. I'm talking about the day that I had somebody join under me is the day that I started my own team page. I did weekly team meetings. Don't do that. You'll kill yourself. I did a lot of things wrong in the beginning of my leadership. I went big or went home, and I about killed myself in my early months and first year of Scentsy. When I became a leader, I did way too much. I'll get to that in just a second. I did way too much, but I watched what other people did and I did it. So when I watched people shouting out other people, I would do shout outs. When I would get an email from my upline, I started doing recognition emails. I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but I didn't know what I was doing as a leader because I was never put in a leader. I mean, I'm the oldest sibling of 5. So I guess like you're automatically drafted to the leader. I call myself the HOH of my family, my entire family. I'm the HOH, including my parents. Like everything gets run by me and I make all the decisions. That's the blessing or curse of being an older child. But outside of that, I'm not in leadership. I'm not the leader type, but I watched closely what other people were doing and I did it. My biggest tip as a leader is to love people and love people hard. Don't want anything for yourself. That is so Scentsy rewards you for being a good leader. They reward you through the comp plan for being a good leader. When you show up for your people and you lead them and you train them, they do well and they promote, which helps you promote. I didn't know the comp plan early on in my business. I just know that I wanted to be a better sponsor than my sponsor was to me. And I worked really hard to be there for my people without knowing. So I didn't train anybody one-on-one in the beginning of my business. This is how I worked. I showed them how I was working. So the day I sponsored, I started my own team page. So it was just me and her. So when I did postcards in the mail, it'd be one of 2. That's what the postcard would say. You were number 1 out of 2 people for the month of June. I mean, I duplicated. I watched what everybody else was doing and I did it because I did not know what to do. So I just watched what everybody else was doing and I was like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing. So this is what we're gonna do. They're doing team trainings. I'm gonna start doing team trainings. Oftentimes in the beginning, I was the only one doing a team training and I was the only one on it. So I was talking to myself. Literally, for probably the first 6 to 9 months, I was talking to myself. Every team meeting, nobody got up there. I would talk to myself. But I did it because it made me more comfortable to not only show up for my team, but to go live on social media, go live in my stories. It made me more comfortable the more I was on camera. So your team is watching you. Whether you think it or not, they're watching you. Same with your customers. We talk a lot about consistency. It's the same thing with your team. When you don't show up for your team or your group, and let me pause right there. I hear so often, I have nothing to contribute. I have nothing to share. I'm nervous or I'm scared. And those are all very, very normal feelings, especially in leadership. Those are all very, very normal feelings. But those feelings will hold you back just like they will grow in your personal business. Because your team didn't join, or the people you sponsored, they didn't join under your director. They didn't join under your superstar director. They joined under you. They don't know Katie Lassiter or Amber Ryan. They know you. So they have to see you show up. They have to see you working your business. They have to see you. You're the one they signed up under. So often I hear from my leaders, well, you train them and you share all the things and you post on the team page. They need to see you. They don't need to see me. They need to see you. The greatest form of leadership that you can give your team is your example. Nothing more and nothing less of that. I didn't do a lot of fluffy stuff in the beginning of my business for my team. I didn't do team gifts, lavish team gifts, incentive gifts. I didn't do crazy things. I voice messaged them and texted them and loved on them and got to know them as people. The relationship, just like with your customers, 9 times out of 10, the people that join you are customers. That relationship shouldn't change once they join your team. You should still continue that relationship once they become your team, once they become a team member of yours. But they have to see you show up. And the best form of leadership that you can give them is you working your business first and then sharing with them how you worked your business. That's it. That's what leadership is in this business. It's been so overcomplicated by you have to do a million trainings. Look, sometimes I don't even want to train. I do monthly trainings for my group, but everything they need to know is on YouTube. Literally everything they need to know is on YouTube. They don't need a million trainings. They need to see you show up. So the best form of leadership you can give them is working your business, do follow-ups, booking parties, having sponsoring conversations, and screenshot it and share it with them. They need to know that you're in the thick of it with them. They need to know that you're struggling with them. They need to see you be successful, but they need to see you fail. So many people are scared of failure, and failure is beautiful. Amber knows this because me and Amber have a very close relationship, but I haven't wanted to work my business since like October. Luckily, I've built very solid foundations in my business, but I haven't necessarily wanted to do it. But my team also needs to see that side. They don't need to see, oh, Katie's so successful. They need to see Katie has failures too, that Katie hears no. Katie can't sponsor. Katie's not booking parties. Don't be scared to be vulnerable with your team because you can learn from your team too. Just because I'm an SSD, I learn from lead consultants, certified consultants every single day. A title don't mean nothing. It really does not mean anything. The title means with a title comes great responsibility. Leadership should not be taken lightly. When you sponsor, I see so many people do this. They sponsor and they don't train their team. They don't share anything with their team. They don't communicate with the person they sponsor or train them up or teach them anything. They just sponsor them, and it's a waste. It's a waste because what's the point? What's the point of doing that? There is no point. It doesn't grow you, and it surely don't grow them. You have to show them the way, and the best way to do that is even if you're booking parties and you're hearing no, show them like, girl, I'm getting no's too, so let's pivot. Let's come up with some ideas. Me and Amber do that all the time. Okay, Amber, I can't get parties booked. What we doing this month? What we doing this month? We're gonna whip up some mystery bags. We're gonna do a mystery host party. Well, what we doing for PRV this month? Or I'm not sponsoring. Okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna set 10 minutes on a clock, and we're going to have sponsoring conversations. You also have to have that relationship with your team to let them know you're doing it with them. They're not doing it by themselves. You're doing it with them. Not only does that build trust, but then you know what you're talking about. So when you hear people say, I'm struggling, you can say, me too. Or they can look at you and say, God, I'm glad I'm not the only one struggling. Because if Katie Lassiter can't get a party booked, we struggling, but that don't mean we're not going to have no PRV this month. That means we're going to pivot. We're going to pivot this thing, and we're going to think about some other ways to get some PRV. They need to know you're in it. So many, and I want you to drop this in the comments. What scares you about leadership? Most people, when I ask them that question, they say, because I see so many leaders doing so many things. You don't have to do so many things. You're going to mess up. You're going to mess up. Do you know how many people have quit because of me? That's just real talk. You know how many people quit over me? Because in the beginning of my business, I just assumed everybody wanted it the way I wanted it. So I would push them and challenge them and push them. And I'll give you an example. I had a girl about to promote to director. Literally, she was about to promote to director. She was killing it. I mean, I'm talking about $6,000, $7,000 a month. And she kept telling me, Katie, this is a hobby for me. This is a hobby for me. But she was rocking it like she was doing so good. And she kept telling me, I'm a hobby. I mean, she was sponsored. She was doing all the things. And she kept telling me. But all I could see was how great she was doing that I really wasn't listening to what she wanted out of her business. There's a difference between challenging people to push them to their fullest potential if they want it and being disrespectful of why they joined. There's a fine line. And the only way you're going to know is if you build relationships with them on what they want out of this business. I pushed her so hard that she literally, as soon as she hit director, she messaged and canceled her account. And she messaged me. She said, I'm quitting because of you. This was fun and you made it not fun. And that was an eye-opener for me. A very big eye-opener for me of what kind of leader I wanted to be. You have to figure that out on your own of what kind of leader you want to be. Because to lead like me. You're not going to want to lead like Amber. You want to be authentically yourself when you're leading, just like you are with your customers. There's no difference. The way you're authentic with your customers is the same way you have to be with your team. And for the first 2 years of my business, I was very serious with my team. And if you know me personally, you know I'm not a serious person. Like, even when my life is falling to crap, I'm going to crack a joke. And then people look at me like, wow, like, she ain't okay. Like, she going through a real hard time and she over here cracking jokes. That's just how I deal with stuff. But when it came to leadership, I was very serious. And it didn't feel right to me. So I didn't enjoy leadership for a long time because the way I was leading wasn't aligned with the person I was or the person I am. Leading off, being authentically yourself, you're going to make your team feel comfortable being authentically themselves. You're going to build trust with them. You're going to be the person that they come to with successes or failures. But the most important thing that you can do for them is show up for them. You know what I do every day? Because I'm not on Facebook. Y'all heard that in like every video so far. I schedule posts on my team page for the next day. That's what I do. I set 10 minutes every day to set posts for my VIP page and for my team page for the next day. That way, if my day doesn't go how I planned, I showed up for my customers and I showed up for my team. And sometimes I don't even remember what I be scheduling. Because sometimes people be posting the same thing, and I'm like, she thinks I stole her post, but I straight up scheduled that guy yesterday. Scheduled it. That way, I intentionally show up for my team the same way that I do for my customers. You have to show up. If you don't show up, you will lose your team. That's a hard pill to swallow, but I've seen so many amazing leaders go through very difficult times. And I'm not taking away from that. There are times that you need to rest. And there are times where you don't need to go ham in your business and you need to come first. Your mental health needs to come first. You need to be a priority. But your team matters, just like your customers matter. And when you stop showing up for them, they're going to stop showing up for their business. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to quit and you're going to have to start all over. When your fire does come back, because it eventually will, your team's going to be gone. And you have to start all over. Fires and motivation and feeling inspired is all temporary. That's all temporary feelings. It's going to be up and down, just like it is with your personal business. There's going to be days it's really hard to work your business, but you got to show up. You have to show up. Because if you don't, they're going to step away just like your customers are. You're not consistent and they don't hear from you for a while. They're going to another consultant. Same thing with your team. And once they're gone, you have to rebuild. And rebuilding is hard. It is hard. The same team that gets you to a leadership role or a leadership title is not going to be the same team that keeps you there. You're going to have to keep, I got to switch. My foot's falling asleep. You're always going to be in a constant state of rebuilding. I'm not saying kill yourself for your team, but your team is important. And you have to show up for them every day, even when you don't feel like it. I'm not talking about go all in, do all the things. I'm talking about tiny things like a post, a voice message. So Tuesdays is my team day, and I message 5 frontline and 5 downline. I voice message them. I send recognition emails every Tuesday. Tuesday is all about my team and my group. That's when I do all the things, all the shout outs, all the things. One day a week is focused on my team. They know I'm there for them. I send tip emails every single week to my team. So that way everybody is getting information from me every single week. You don't have to do it every single day, but they need to know you're there. They need to know they're there. So my biggest tip before I pass it to Amber, work your business first. First week of the month, I don't work with anybody on my team. I don't do team trainings, live videos, nothing for my team. The first week of every month is for me. That's when I book parties. That's when I do extensive follow-ups. That's when I'm doing all my customer things. I'm not worried about my team because I'm not worried about my team until I hit 500 PRV. I don't do anything for my team until I have my 500 PRV in. And I'm a big goal-oriented person, so I want my 500 PRV in on the 1st. And I know that sounds like a lot for a lot of you, And it should, but that is my personal goal. The first is non-negotiable for me to have my 500 in. And I do that because I front load, collect pre-orders, I do all the things. I need my 500 in on the first. I don't work with my team or do anything for my team until I have parties booked and sponsored. Because how am I going to teach them to do it if I'm not doing it? I can't. And if I do tell them to do something I'm not doing, that's leading in vain. And that's my biggest pet peeve in this entire business. My biggest pet peeve of leadership is when leaders tell other people to do things that they're not doing themselves. I will never tell my team to do something I'm not doing myself. That is leading in vain. Lead. Your best form of leadership is your example. That's my biggest tip. Come as you are. They don't want perfect. They don't want a perfect leader. You don't have to be perfect. You're going to mess up. You're going to fail. You're going to make somebody mad. I've made so many people mad unintentionally. But it's fine. You're only going to learn more from it. You're only going to learn and grow into the leader that you're supposed to be by making mistakes. They don't want perfection. And you not being perfect is going to make them feel okay with not being perfect. So my challenge for you guys before I turn it over to Amber, if you do not have your own team page, if you're on somebody else's team page on Facebook, I want you to start doing a post a day. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not. It literally takes 2 seconds. Work your business, screenshot it, and post it on your director's page if you don't have your own team page. Because your team needs to see it. Your team needs to see you doing it. Because when they sponsor, they'll do it. They have to see you do it. You don't want a huge team and you're the only one leading the ship and rowing the ship. You don't want it. It's exhausting. I've been there. It's exhausting if you're the only one doing it. You want to show them so that when they sponsor, they do it. And they do it. And they pass that down. That's my challenge for you is to, if you have a team, post every single day in your director's team page or your team page. Doesn't have to be perfect. It could be a graphic. It could be something inspiring. It could be a YouTube training, whatever. And message somebody tomorrow. Tomorrow, message one of your team members that you personally sponsored and ask them, is there anything I can do for you? I wanted to check in on you. Is there anything I can do for you? That's my 2 challenges for y'all. And I give it to you, Miss Beautiful Ryan.
Thank you, ma'am. So many notes around my notes. So hopefully I'm able to follow my own notes. So let me unspotlight you. See if I figure this out by week 5. Remove spotlight. Okay. Lord have mercy. Okay. So I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that tail end of what Katie was talking about. And I want to ask you guys who are on here to comment in the chat. Do any of you guys have any clue what is going on in my personal life or in Katie Lassiter's personal life? Okay. Y'all have not a single clue. And why is that? Because we still show up. That is number 1 with leadership. It does not matter what is going on in our personal lives. There's a lot going on. Y'all don't know. I ain't sharing it. Okay. Lots going on in my life. Lots going on in Katie's life. I haven't even packed for SFR because that is how crazy my life is right now. So number 1, you show up anyways. Okay. We take the feelings out of it. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have seasons that are really freaking hard. You're going to have times where you don't want to show up. You're going to have times when you are having to work your business late at night. You're going to have times where you're going to have to wake up early in the morning. You're going to have tough times as a leader, but you still show up anyways. Okay. So moving forward beyond that, because that was a good one, Katie. It's a little slide in for me right there. But I want you guys to think about your current, if you have a job outside of Cincy, or your most recent boss. Okay. And I want you to put in the comments what that person was like. How were they as a boss? How were they as a manager? How were they as a leader? Okay. I want you to start thinking of character traits that they had. So for me, and hopefully he doesn't see this, but he is the reason I stopped teaching. Okay. So sorry if you see this, but like he was invisible. He was never at work. He never helped me. I felt like I was drowning. It just didn't matter. Okay. So worthless, not a good boss, worried about nothing but business, strict, do as I say, not as I do. Okay. So some things to think about. Did they sit behind a closed door and hardly show their face? Were they out and about helping any way that they could? Were they absent a lot? Were they out and about in the trenches doing the dirty work with you to help you be successful? Okay, so start thinking about what a leader is and think about the traits that you want to pursue and the traits and actions that you don't want to pursue. Okay, that's where leadership is ever evolving and ever changing. You see a thing that a leader does and you're like, oh, I really like that. But you see a thing that a leader does not do, or they do, and you're like, hey, I don't want to be that way. Okay. There's no right way to do leadership. You have to figure out how you want to do it. But there are certain things that you just shouldn't do as a leader. Okay. And we all know that. Leadership is one of the most challenging things in the Scentsy business, but is also the most fulfilling thing in this business. Okay. It is fulfilling in the fact that it will warm your heart to absolute pieces and to the core that somebody else's life is being blessed by this business. But it will also bless your paycheck for doing the right things in leadership. Okay. If you look at the compensation plan is completely built around the fact, and we have heard Katie and I from Superstar Director Summit last year. One of the people within not finance, the guy that like the lawyers, he was explaining why Direct Sales Association has really strict guidelines for us to go by. We get paid leadership percentage bonuses because as you increase your title within Scentsy, you are getting paid that little bit of percentage because you are helping the people underneath you. That is why we get paid the way that we do within the Direct Sales Association. So if you did not know that, now you know why our compensation plan is set up the way that it is. So with you being an awesome leader, whether you know how to lead or not, you showing up like Katie said, you showing what you do, you leading by example, you are in turn teaching others, right? The ones who join your team, join you and need your help, you're helping yourself out there. Okay. So you're helping them and you're helping you. Leadership is selfless. So I'm going to talk about what makes a great leader. I'm going to talk about what makes not so great leader. Okay. So what makes a great leader? They're willing to do the dirty work and get in the trenches with you. Okay. They're not just going to sit behind a computer and email you and say, hey, this is what you need to do, and not come in there and get right beside you. Or, hey, two brains are better than one. Let's get on a coaching call and do something together. They're helping you out. Okay. But they're not just going to sit there and be like, figure it out on your own. Bye. Okay. Great leaders provide resources to help you do your job successfully. We're all independent Scentsy consultants, right? We all decided on our own will that we were going to become consultants. But a leader also provides resources and shows the way and shows you how to figure something out. There's so many times where I'm asked, if I see the text message right away, that's a whole nother story. But I'm asked, hey, how do I get the link to, so for example, yesterday, how do I get the link for the flash sale or the warehouse sale? But to make sure it goes underneath the link. Okay. I was already answering the question for somebody. I could have just ignored that. I could have said, I don't want to answer that. I screen recorded it, sent it to her. And I also posted it in my team page because I'm sure a lot of other people had the same question. That is showing the way and teaching. Okay. It's as simple as a minute that it took me to screen record. All right. And you can do the same thing. even if it's not your team page, if it's your director's team page, if you have a question like one of your teamies was asking, share it. There's probably so many other people that have that same question, but they're scared to ask. Okay. Being a great leader is willing to teach you how to do something so you're able to do it on your own. Same type of thing. I like to think about the analogy of teaching, what is it? Teaching somebody to fish. If you were to fish for them, that's like a fish for now. But if you teach them to fish for life, I probably just screwed that all up. But you guys know the saying that I'm talking about. Teach them how to fish on their own. Go out, teach them so that they're able to do it on their own and produce more fish because they know how to fish. You get what I'm saying? My brain is like, I just said fish way too many times. Okay. Great leader also helps solve problems. Okay. You might just need to be a sounding board for somebody, but you're there, right? How many times have you been like, maybe I needed to do this, and they didn't help you do anything, but you talked about it out loud to yourself, or you wrote it out in a text message, and then you're like, oh wow, I figured it out on my own. Or you're offering advice and you're helping solve problems. Okay. What makes a not so great leader? They're not present. It's one thing to like not have your phone with you and then, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, it's taken me so long to get back. But it's another thing to not be present at all, not posting in a team page, not answering text messages, not being there, period, not offering anything. Okay. A not so good leader refuses to help, having the mindset that they should have it all figured out. No, you need to teach them. Okay. If they are brand new and they're newer and they do not know something, they're probably like, they just need a little guidance. Or if they're like not so new and you need to be like, okay, it's on the workstation. Why don't you teach them? Hey, use the search engine on the team page, use YouTube. There's so many different resources, but you need to help. Okay. Not so good leader. There's my fish analogy. Will not teach you to fish so you can't get your own food independently. Okay. So they're not willing to teach you anything. So then you can't figure it out. All right. Let's see. Katie kind of already touched this, but if you've sponsored at least one teamie, you are a leader. Okay. That makes you a leader. Even if you aren't lead consultant, you are in the leadership position. But the great thing with being a leader is it's ever evolving. Okay. You learn as you go. As Katie said, I can't tell you how many times I showed up to talk to myself in my team page on a Facebook Live. I literally cannot tell you how many times I did that, but I still showed up. I used to have in-person team meetings every single month when I first joined for probably the first 3 to 4 years. And then COVID happened. And my first few, there was 1 or 2 people there. The first one, there was 1 person. Second one, there was 1 person and her teamie, because I think they felt bad for me. And then people kind of caught on like, hey, this is a really cool thing that she's doing, and just keep showing up. Okay. All right. So I have 10 things of how to be a great leader. Ready? Number 1, give more than you take. Give more than you take. Number 2, teach and show others how you do things. Katie hit on this very nicely. Screenshot your texts and post them in the team page. You're having conversations, screenshot them, post them in the team page. This is how you're having conversations. Some of you that are in my team, in my group, you've probably told me something and I've said, hey, can you share that in the team page? That's because other people need to see how other people are doing it. Okay. There's a lot of teaching moments there. If you have a great idea, post about it in the team page. Okay. Share what you're doing. We don't all think the same way. We don't all talk the same way. We don't all learn the same way. Share, share, share. Number 3, how to be a great leader. Do not forget where you came from. You were also at one point a brand new consultant. Do not get too big for your britches. Do not think you are too good for anybody. Remember where you came from. Okay. Number 4, show up to trainings and events. If your teamies see you showing up, they're going to find importance in showing up. So those of you, Katie and I know Katie does, I keep track of everybody who's on these calls live. Why? Because I want to see who's dedicated to their business and learning and wanting more. Okay. When you show up, your teamies will follow and do the exact same thing. I promise you. SFR next week, if you're not able to come in person, I'm so sorry because it's going to be an absolute blast. But when you go to events like that and World Tour, your teamies are watching you. They're saying, hey, wow, they made it a point and now I'm having very serious FOMO. Like I need to be there next year. Okay. Number 5, leaders provide different trainings when a question arises. Okay. Like Katie said, YouTube is filled to the brim with resources and trainings and just galore. Okay. I know my YouTube is packed. I know Katie's YouTube is packed. I know so many other leaders within our corporation. It's just insane. There's so many resources at our fingertips. Workstation, there's a training tab. There's stuff everywhere. There's trainings every single week from home office. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, provide different trainings, okay? Teach them how to fish and be self-sufficient. Number 6, use onboarding systems for new teamies. I'm going to share with you guys mine. I use boards. I think Katie uses something very similar with boards, but it's such a simple and easy process. When somebody joins my team, I don't have to second guess or think or scramble. I know exactly what to do because I have it laid out in a board system. Okay. That'll make more sense when I share it. Number 7, being a great leader, you're being others' biggest cheerleaders. You're cheering people on. Hey, I see that you're so close to active. Hey, it's the 11th of the month. You're active. Hey, here's a whole list on the team page of who's active, who's at 500 PRV, where the PRV is. Here's an email. Voice text somebody, cheering people on. Some people might be down in the dumps because they don't think what they're doing is even being seen or it's not good enough. Now, let me tell you that. Let me backtrack on that. Being a leader, you're going to miss what people need for words of affirmation or what people need their cups being filled. You're not a mind reader and you cannot pour into everybody every single second of every single day. Okay. Just remember that you are human and you also have to fill your cup. Number 8, I don't know. Oh, how to be a great leader. Do not take your teamies not doing things you share with them or not working their business personally. That's not on you. They are an independent consultant. If you are sharing and giving the information and you are teaching them how to fish and they are not wanting to take it all in, you know, the saying, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Don't take it personally. It takes time, but it's not your fault. Okay. You're showing up, you're providing the information, you're giving it all to them. If they don't latch onto it, it's okay. It's not your problem. And that's one of the most frustrating things about leadership. And I know it is. Number 9, lead with love and grace. We're all human and life happens. Don't take it personally if somebody is not showing up for their business that month because life is crazy. Okay. Everybody's allowed to have different seasons and it's their business. Remember, Katie said that. Don't push people to an extra extent if they are literally saying to you, please stop. Okay. And number 10, be patient with yourself. Leadership is ever evolving and ever changing. I think I already said that. But leadership is one of the biggest blessings in this business. Like I said, our compensation plan is completely built around it for a reason. So that's all I have for you guys. I don't even have a challenge. I'm sorry. I like Katie's challenge so much. I'm going to say do that. Katie, you got anything else?
Yeah, somebody asked in the chat, business hours. If you're a leader, even if you have one person, you need business hours and you need to share them with your team. Even though we should be showing them up for them, you have to cut it off at some point. Most of you guys are moms, have full-time jobs, have husbands, have a life outside of Cincy. You should have a life outside of Cincy. Otherwise, you will drown yourself in this business. Business hours, mine are 9 to 3. My team gets that in every single tip email. It's pinned to the top of the page. That way, when they message me after 3 o'clock, I don't feel guilty. We have a team page for that. If they need something right then, they can go to chat on the workstation or they can post on the team page. But you have to cut it off. Just like your job, full-time job, you shouldn't be doing all the things 24/7. That's an